You know, Guinness put some weird junk in their books. Then again, maybe this is just them making up for the fact that they never did give Toy that other record they applied for. Wise choice, Guinness. But yeah, for today, I'm taking a look at the big Precure crossover to celebrate their 15th anniversary, and I'm sure the whole reason they made such a big deal out of it was just because it was the big 1-5, and had nothing to do with the fact that their flagship properties were hemorrhaging money around that time. For this occasion, I went out of my way and got myself an actual Blu-ray of this film for a few reasons. One, the only subs I could find of this movie utilize what I think are some Chinese rips, hence there's double the subtitles and double the strain on my eyes. I can understand Japanese, so I just watched the whole movie raw to lessen the strain on my eyes. Second, I do want to support Precure and the anime industry directly, especially with all the nonsense going on with the American side of things lately. And third, and most importantly, I had a few extra points on my import store account that were about to expire, and I didn't want them to go to waste. Yeah, I'm kind of a sheep, aren't I? Anyway, Precure All-Stars Memories. Our movie opened with the requisite Miracle Lights tutorial. They talked about not swinging them around too much or directly looking into them, as they would likely melt faces with their almighty Deus Ex Machina-ness. Yeah, we already know all this stuff. Let's just start the movie. I think these kids in the Precure cosplay are becoming just as antsy. Those are kids in Precure cosplay, right? And not something else. The actual movie opened with the most appropriate intro for any action movie set in Japan. A kaiju attack. Okay, just to make sure, was this directed by Del Toro or DeKnight? Because if it's the latter, I ain't sticking around. This attack ended up attracting the attention of some random reporter lady. I bring this character up because apparently she was played by a special guest actress, Mizuki Yamamoto, a former fashion magazine model who played a significant role in the advertisements for this film, even taking part in several commercials for it. So with all that in mind, she must play a significant role in this film, right? Yeah, she has one more scene after this intro. Yeah, kind of weird that they made such a big deal out of this character who didn't even have a name. They just credited her as the reporter. As such, I think I'll just take to calling her April. Though really, this actress just seems to have some really strange relationships with anime movies. It's either pointless roles like this one, or playing Medan in the Gintama movie. Yeah, don't ask me how that works. It's Gintama, for God's sake. Anyway, April just so happened to be in the Ferris wheel with her cameraman. I'm guessing they were doing a report on the amusement park, but come on guys, you're just asking to become kaiju food when you take assignments like this. Luckily, they were saved by the Futari team, +1. And considering this is an All-Stars movie, the other team should be joining just about... now.
All too easy.
You said it, Shao Kahn. Yeah, the Futari team just took out the kaiju no problem. I mean, I have no doubt that they'd be able to pull it off, but still, it's odd that this All-Stars movie doesn't start with a big schmoz of Precure teams coming together. Well, anyway, they defeated it and rescued April and Verdun, even though I'm pretty sure they should have died a few times during this whole sequence. However, they didn't have time to rest as Toby from the Paranormal Activity movies had arrived. This is what happens when Miyano doesn't get zombie idols. This creature, known as Medan, appeared to be a very needy spirit as he wanted something from the Futari team. He eventually had them cornered, but Hikari seemingly sacrificed herself to protect her friends. Because yeah, every anime character who does this pose never comes back, am I right? We then kind of jarringly transitioned over to the HUGtto team, with the girls enjoying their day off, and Hana practicing for the ending of her series. Ladies and gentlemen, the early signs of the soccer mom. It's here we also got the opening theme for this movie, which was just HUGtto's usual OP. Again, this is kind of unusual for an All-Stars movie. Usually, we'd expect some kind of special opening theme as well as a montage of all the previous teams, which we don't get here. They just hold on the HUGtto team the whole time. You'd almost think that All-Stars title was just there for show. Yeah, more on that later. For now, the HUGtto team reflected on the memories they made with each other over the course of their series. And looking at HUGtto, Rue became curious about her own origins. However, I think someone had jailbroken the iPad as they were about to get some very nasty malware. Medan arrived, and as a solo hint to his abilities, he said the catchphrases of a certain Precure team. Then again, that also seems to be a catchphrase of someone on the current team, so maybe this guy is just really into his Precure memes. I can relate. But yeah, the HUGtto team engaged him, and as he continued to spout catchphrases, he eventually used an attack combining Hikari and Ichika's abilities. He used a stun ability combined with an attack that stuns. A little redundant there, guy. Why would you use that sort of combination? Oh, because he's into Bukkake. Alright, fair enough. Carry on. But yeah, apparently my Mortal Kombat joke held a little more meaning than I originally expected. As it turned out, Medan was Shang Tsung.
Your soul is mine.
Never let the classics die. Though rather than taking their souls, Medan ended up taking most of their memories, which also happened to include any physical changes associated with them. In other words...
Babies! They're babies!
On a side note, I really like this multi-part joke they play out with Ruru. I won't even ask why she's in a completely different location than everyone else, or where that giant boat came from. That was just hilarious. With her team reduced to diapers, Hana was cornered, but not out of luck as Nagisa and Honoka soon arrived. Funny, I was kind of under the impression they required a portal from HUGtto to beat the HUGtto team, or did they just follow Medan to this location, or... just blame it on Decade, and let's move on. However, dealing with both the baby cures and Medan at the same time proved to be too much, and Honoka ended up getting hit by his memory-stealing blast. And since their powers were interconnected, Nagisa lost her ability to transform as a result. Thankfully, Hana used all of her remaining fortitude and managed to escape with all of her friends and allies in tow, forcing Medan to withdraw for the time being. Oh, I get it now. This is actually Silent from Pokemon trying to catch them all. Yeah, dude, this is exactly why you're one of the less popular traveling companions. Hana and Nagisa then tried to calm down their toddler friends with varying degrees of success. Stop! You're damaging the resale value on them! Amongst the chaos, Nagisa still managed to reveal what they had learned about Medan. As it turned out, the shattered glass pieces he carried around more than likely held the memories of each of the Precure he had taken. And just going by those numbers, he had likely taken everyone except for these two. We then briefly cut over to Medan's lair and the movie's first full-on CGI sequence, and I gotta say, I like this. While the CGI in these films can be hit or miss with some janky movements or some off models, I think all that actually works with this guy. These random kind of schizophrenic movements really work for this character and his design. When you have a villain with long skinny limbs, you kind of want to give him some more creepy sort of uncanny valley-esque movements to sort of highlight all that. Still, as much as I admired this sequence, the movie then cut over to probably one of the weakest aspects of it, the Precure Nursery. And while I do find episode 38 of Smile to be an enjoyable watch, this place is going to have some serious repercussions on this movie later. Back with Nagisa and Hana, they were still having baby troubles, especially after Saya and Homari managed to run off. They split up to look for them, and oh hey, April's still in this movie. Is she actually going to significantly contribute to this film?
Nope.
Her aside, I actually do kind of like this scene and the next one, as we do get a little more insight into what Saya was like in her younger years. Apparently, she did kind of rely on her mother's name to get people to do stuff for her, which contrasted with her current self, who didn't want to break into show business through nepotism. And let's face it, even if it's a minor detail, any sort of insight into her benefits Saya's underdeveloped character. Hana then retrieved Homari from the ice ring and, okay, what's this dude's story? Did he just fall over, or is he really depressed about something? Seriously, I am genuinely curious about this guy and his backstory. I'm sure it would actually be a lot more interesting than what's coming up next. Yep, we've now reached the part of the toy movie where the main characters have an emotional breakdown. And okay, just so that I don't come off as a total hard ass, I will admit, I understand why Hana breaks down here. She's surrounded by a bunch of whiny babies who resemble her friends, but don't have any of their memories. With the very real chance that she might never see them again, her breaking down here does make sense from a character standpoint. But from a total standpoint, it feels kind of jarring. Just in the last scene, we had comedy segments in which Hana tried to catch her toddler friends and almost got into serious trouble for it. Damn you, George, you made me use up all my Chris Hansen jokes. And now we're going into full melodrama mode. I mean, okay, it's not out of the ordinary for HUGtto, but this isn't the TV show, and this wasn't written by Suboda. But let's save talking about that for at the end. Anyway, it's not even that long of a scene, as Medan returned to complete his collection. The end result of many a pre-cure toy collector. He launched an attack meant for Hana that Nagisa took, and it didn't take away her memories? Wait, so is it like a requirement that they have to be in their pre-cure form for that attack to work properly? Or did Medan just open up with a normal percussion blast for no reason?
There's a simple explanation for that.
Regardless, Medan proceeded to taunt Nagisa by recollecting Honoka's stolen memories. It's honestly great heel work that makes this guy a pretty good villain even if his attacks are inconsistent. Seeing her friend in danger woke something up inside of Honoka. Oh goody, it's time for that part of the movie. Yup, in true Miracle Light fashion, this thing acted as a total Deus Ex Machina and just restored all of Honoka's memories and returned her to normal. And yet, this isn't even the worst it gets. Give it time, folks. Give it time. Understandably upset over this contrivance, Medan tried to fight back, and in turn kind of buried one of my favorite cures in the process. Seriously, I know that Princess didn't sell well, but I still really liked it. Still, the actions of her predecessors gave Hana the second win she needed. You know, for as many legit problems as the series had, I will never get tired of a good Hana speech. Thus, in probably the best fight of the film, the makeshift pre-cure team engaged Medan. Granted, in this movie, that's not a high bar, but still good stuff. It was so above the average, in fact, that it even managed to reawaken the HUGtto team's memories, and again, the Miracle Lights did their thing again, and together they used their group finisher to send Medan blasting off again. Of course, being a living piece of cloth, it didn't take more than 2 minutes for him to come floating back, but Hana managed to somewhat break him with a recreation of Judai's speech to darkness. Oh boy, I've seen enough Death Note to know where this is going. Sure enough, he started to steal memories left and right, and create a literal new stage for the final confrontation. No wait, this isn't the new stage series. God, it's hard to keep track of all of these crossovers. The Precure woke atop the plateau, and apparently it had the side effect of converting everyone into their 3D models. And again, while these models can be hit and miss, I do like the design of this final stage and how it will play into the climax of the film. Anyway, while trying to avoid an attack by Medan, the teams ended up getting separated, and okay, who approved of this angle? Well, great. Between this and how Medan appears every time, this video is getting demonetized. The original HUGtto trio somehow ended up in the credits to Kira Kira, while everyone else ended up in a Crash Bandicoot stage. Oh boy, I'm gonna get some serious mileage out of this one. Elsewhere, Harry and HUGtto ended up in the Precure Nursery, noticeably with their normal 2D models. Cause yeah, these sorts of shifts in animation aren't jarring in the least. Elsewhere, the Precure reunited in Medan's collection room with the completed version of that one clip that they used in almost all the trailers. Amazing how layers can make these sorts of changes as easy as just a few clicks and drags. Hana then discovered an old vintage camera, which Saya was able to give a little description of. Why couldn't we have gotten this Saya in the actual show? But yeah, it was a rare camera that saw very limited distribution due to the makers going bankrupt soon after it was released. The name of the camera was a little familiar. Yeah, this is another Precure movie where the main villain was originally an inanimate object that was neglected for just a tad bit too long. And they say the world of AOT is one of the most dangerous anime settings ever. With all of it out in the open, Medan revealed his motivations. He was the spirit of a Medan F-model that was left to rot away in a warehouse somewhere. Unable to fulfill his function of immortalizing the memories of his potential owners, the spirit of the camera created this vindictive apparition. Hearing this made Hana feel a little bit bad of what she said to him earlier, realizing that, yeah, maybe breaking down the way she did was a little premature since she at least had other friends and family to fall back on, while Medan had no one. Honestly, while this whole vengeful spirit plot is very played out, especially in the Precure films, I do think it could have made for an interesting HUGtto solo film. It's just too bad it was kind of bogged down by too little words. This is even exemplified a few seconds later when Honoka and Nagisa both got their memories taken. Seriously, why babify Honoka again along with her partner this time? Well, of course, just to give a reason for the rest of the Precure to intervene. And okay, before anything else, this is a good time to bring up some more of my problems with the Miracle Lights. You know, aside from their whole Deus Ex Machina-ness. More times than not, they end up breaking a little something called immersion. Often, the fairies will take a couple of valuable minutes out of the film's runtime to encourage everyone to wave around their little glow sticks as though this were some kind of idol concert. Now, of course, in story, they would often make it look like they were either talking to the civilians or their fellow fairies, but let's face it, they're actually talking to the people in the cinemas, specifically the kids, and probably the big friends. It feels fourth wall breaking and therefore unnatural as they peel back the curtain. Now granted, the degrees of fourth wall breaking do vary. I think Smile and Heartcatch actually managed to handle it competently, and in fact, the first couple of scenes in this movie did pretty well in that regard, just not in the whole Deus Ex Machina-ness. Harry and Honoka then look directly at the audience and tell them to start waving their lights around, thereby making it feel at least somewhat organic. This scene in the Precure Nursery, however... Yes, you saw that right. HUGtto literally touched the fourth wall. Guys, even Wade is saying you're overdoing it! This one scene might actually overtake New Stage 1 for worst application of the Miracle Lights. As while that film did have an obsessive quantity of light scenes, this outpaces it with the quality of pure unadulterated pandering. I mean, for goodness sake, where is Harry even gained this from other than the toy execs who are desperately trying to hammer in this whole 15th anniversary concept into everyone's heads? Usually, I really hate using this word, but really, there's no way to describe this scene other than as pure, unadulterated cringe. So, after a scene that shaved off at least a few decades off my soul, the Precure All-Stars were brought back with an inconsistent distribution of 2D and 3D models. Seriously, I get that some of the older series didn't have 3D models beforehand, but stuff like this is just distracting. And yet, Toy would still try to get away with stuff like this. Hey, here's a fun drinking game. Take a shot every time the art style changes in the final fight with Broly. However, in spite of everyone else being reunited, Hana wasn't with her team. As it turned out, she had remained inside of Medan, wanting to actually help him instead of just calling him a monster again. Rie Hikisaka and Mamoru Miyano are the MVPs of this film. While Hana tried to help Medan from within, the rest of the Cures dealt with his personified malice. And while this fight is impressive in areas, I still stand by my earlier opinion that the fight with Hana and the Futari team was the best in the film. It was simply laid out better with less disorienting camera angles and of course the ability to stick with one type of animation model. That said, it is pretty cool to see the different fighting styles of each of the teams, and everyone, and I mean everyone, gets at least a few lines here. Gotta make sure they can back up that Guinness record I see. Eventually, they managed to wipe out the mini Medans, and Hana managed to reach the heart of the beast. Inside, she found a lonely little Tera Bozu, which, as the film and the convenient little subtitles pointed out, are supposed to be little charms that are meant to prevent the rain. However, in spite of looking like one, Medan was unable to stop the rain made of his own tears. For him, and really anyone, not being able to create memories gave his very existence no real meaning. Thus, he tried to steal memories, but ultimately that accomplished nothing. A camera that tries to forcefully take memories can't say that they're sharing in those same memories. Luckily for him though, he had a whole army of very photogenic little ladies willing to share. Thus, we got one more miracle light scene, and it's really damn good. Yeah, and one of the most unique cases of duality I've ever seen, this film has arguably the worst and best miracle light scenes ever. The Precure used their lights to share their accomplishments not just with Medan, but also everyone watching. Reminding us all what they've accomplished within these past 15 years. Say what you want about some of these series, I certainly have, but hearing all of the leaders of the teams expositing each of their stories is incredibly powerful. And the fact that the kids in the cinemas got to share in this experience through the miracle lights give me absolutely nothing to really complain about. I really do wish this movie had more scenes like this to celebrate the franchise's 15th anniversary, and less fourth wall breaking that makes me want to call in a carpenter. Thus, Medan's spirit finally found solace, and the film ended with Saya restoring the F model, and everyone taking some very fan-servicey pictures, creating memories that everyone, Magical Girl and Sentient Camera alike, could share. All-Stars Memories is surprisingly a lot like the series that was airing at the time of its release, in that it had some great ideas, especially for its villain, but it fumbled in the execution and ultimately made for a very frustrating watch. Yeah, surprisingly, this film wasn't written by Tsuboda or really any of the HUGtto TV series writers, but rather Junko Komura. And while she did write several episodes of both Princess and Kira Kira, at the end of the day, she is more of a Sentai writer, which is reflected in her scripts that don't always translate well between the different mediums, and even in Sentai, she's not the best. She can be good, especially in regards to her comedy, having written a good chunk of the fantastic Akiba Ranger, but as also seen in the Sentai she was writing for at the same time as this, Lupad, she struggles with balancing tones and multiple character arcs, which, yeah, that kinda sounds familiar. Granted, there are several hints that this movie went through many rewrites, between the opening just being the regular HUGtto OP, to the Precure Nursery being in full 2D in the middle of a bunch of 3D scenes, to just the fact that All-Stars wasn't a part of the title originally. Now, of course, I could always be wrong, and this was just all part of the plan from the very start, but it's worth pondering. Regardless, the film we did get was highly flawed, which is very frustrating. Not just because it's supposedly meant to celebrate 15 years of Precure, but also because it did have good ideas that didn't need to have the All-Stars hashtag to be great, and in fact, that just overcomplicated things. Case in point, Medan. While the inanimate object becoming the movie villain has been done to death, how his original form influenced the evil Casper was interesting, and did fit well with the memory theme the movie was clearly going for. I especially liked his simplistic yet well put together design, with clever little touches like his eyelids being camera shutters to foreshadow his true identity. And of course, it's always just a delight to hear Mamoru Miyano ham it up, while also portraying him as a fairly sympathetic character. Had the movie focused more on him and Hana, it could have been great, and it would have given them more time to develop a connection between the two. Yeah, while Hana's reasoning for wanting to help Medan is solid, it did need a tad bit more time to stew. Personally, I would have exercised all the cure teams except for the oldest and newest at the time, though keep Medan's copied abilities because that is actually a cool power and would have made for fun callbacks without the need of including the actual cures. Because as fantastic as the final Miracle Light scene was, shoving in everyone wasn't needed, especially when all their lines, including from the climactic battle beforehand, amounted to less than a script page's worth of dialogue. Overall, All Stars Memories, while having some good and even fantastic scenes, doesn't get a recommendation from me. Still, the numbers don't lie. This film was the franchise's biggest smash at the box office, raking in 1.15 billion yen. So, for better or for worse, this film ensured the longevity of the franchise for years to come. Recently, we learned that my sister is giving birth to a girl, so if I can continue to share Precure with my soon-to-be-born niece for many years to come, then at the very least, I will say thank you, All Stars Memories. But you don't get a cookie. Anyway, next time, it's back to the main series reviews, and until then though, farewell for now, my friends. And remember, never let the memories die.